All right, man. Welcome back to another Buttercast episode. We are your hosts. My name is Anderson,
And I'm Jay.
and tonight we're joined by Eric from No Carbs Nation. We got the trumpets for you. Welcome, Eric.
Welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
How are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good.
Doing good.
Eric, where are you joining us from?
Canton, Ohio.
Kent, Ohio. Oh, wow. How's the weather over there?
Snow.
Snow?
Snow.
Yeah. Where are you from?
We're in Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So
Okay. So it's probably cold up there as well.
Yeah.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
So I was in Boston yesterday, and it started snowing in Boston. But then on my ride back home to the Cape, that same snowstorm became rain. So um, less snow here where we are right now.
Yeah, technically we're on an island, so we don't get a lot of snow. Like it's mostly just like rain, but then all the snow
Okay.
we'll get to the city. So kind of get like a mild
Okay.
winter over here. It still gets pretty cold. Still being dreadful this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to move somewhere that's warm. I
As
don't know if
do
I have
I.
yeah, I don't know if I have another winter in me. Anyways, we're joined by Courtney today. She says, "Hi guys." Shout out
Hey,
Courtney.
Courtney.
Shout out to Courtney. Can you see the messages pop up?
I can. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, Courtney. I think she's visiting us from Chicago.
Oh yeah,
So
Chicago.
she
Very
probably has it even
cool.
worse. Probably has it even worse.
Yes. No doubt.
Yeah. So, really excited to have you on here tonight, man. For anyone who's listening, go check out No Carbs Nation on YouTube. You also have an Instagram page, right? And
Yep.
that's where we're sharing your journey. Highly recommend everyone go watch his videos, go show him some love, like, subscribe, all the thing. And don't forget to like, subscribe over here too. Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, Eric, I understand you do like a carnivore diet. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about how you first found the carnivore diet specifically?
All right. Sure. Well, it started. So, like most Americans, unlike you guys, I know you are both fairly young and a lot smarter than I was at that age. So, at your age, I was eating like garbage, had a lot of bad habits, and started catching up with me. So, around 30 is when everything started going downhill and progressively got worse over 15 years. Went with the GERD, the acid reflux, type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, high blood pressure, brain fog. It goes on, neuropathy, it goes on and on. So it got to the point about 45 years old where it was so bad that my body was basically fighting against me. I was desperate. I was tired of all the tests and pokes and prods and scans by the different doctors who had no answers. And so, middle of the night, one night, I was Googling my symptoms like people do, desperate for an answer. Stumbled across a guy who had some similar health issues and was able to overcome those by what they called a keto diet. I'd never heard of this, believe it or not, at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So it piqued my interest. Started going a little further down the Google rabbit hole, if you will, and found more and more stories of people going this low carb lifestyle, fixing their health habits. So I was pretty desperate. Like I said, my body was failing fast at that age. So I was bound and determined that morning, December 15th, 2017. So I'm gonna go low carb. I'm gonna cut out some garbage. I'm gonna start with 30 grams a day or less. Wasn't probably about a month after that, out to dinner with some friends. A friend of mine said, "Hey, you ever heard of Dr. Sean Baker? He's carnivore, eats nothing but meat," and that really piqued my interest. I thought I started feeling this good on this what they call keto. Started watching some Sean Baker videos and thought, okay, I think I want to try this now. Started eating all meat and started to feel even better yet, and kind of been that way ever since. I don't like using labels, whether you want to call it keto, carnivore, ketovore, animal based. I eat if it used to breathe, I eat it. So
That's a good criteria. Yeah, if you used to breathe, very likely I'll eat it too.
Yeah. So you first heard about Dr. Sean Baker. That was like through a friend of yours?
yeah, a friend turned me on to him. Yeah, it's I never heard of him before. Never heard of carnivore. Never heard of this great thing of eating all animal based products.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did you decide it was for you? Like, I mean, surely you must have thought it was kind of ridiculous at the start, or like kind of dangerous. You know,
No, I didn't think about the danger part out of it. Honestly, again, my health was so bad, I was feeling so awful that I was desperate.
mhm.
And when I started eliminating, the carbs and the sugars and the processed junk, I started feeling better. And the longer I went and the less carbs I ate and the more natural I ate, the better I felt. And, over a short amount of time, I don't know, maybe 6 months, I wasn't tracking a log or anything, but, at some point fairly quick, about 90% of my health symptoms were gone, eliminated. I was able to get off the type 2 diabetes medication, didn't have to wear that stupid sleep apnea machine anymore. And I
Mm.
started feeling great. The brain fog was going away. It was neuropathy was gone. It was like, oh my gosh, why would I ever go back to eating the old way, knowing, the position it put me in health wise. I was literally regaining my life.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's amazing, man. That's so great to hear. And it seems like you did your research, and then the more you learned, it just kind of made sense for you,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Despite what my doctor at the time was telling me. So it kind of went against all his advice.
yeah, yeah. I think I saw in one of your clips that your doctor actually suggested that you went on a vegetarian diet. So
Yeah.
why'd you go carnivore and not, like all the way fully vegan, like the opposite
Yeah.
end of
Well,
the spectrum?
Well, former doctor, may I mind you, I fired him at one point. So yes, when I was going through multiple health issues, again, he was like, "Hey, you need to stop lifting weights and go to a strictly vegetarian diet." I'm like, "That's not the answer, doc. I'm sorry, but." He's like, "Well, here's more pills." I'm like, "Well, that's not the answer either." So, long story short, when I went to this lifestyle and the weight came off very fast. Like that was very noticeable. And I went to a following checkup after that. Like he's like, "Man, you're down over 40 pounds. Your triglycerides are down. You took my advice, didn't you? You went on a vegetarian diet." I said,
For real?
"Actually, doctor, I am eating nothing but meat right now." He was like, "No," he threw his arms, "You can't do that. You gotta, he started throwing all these horror things at me. I'm like, "Doc, the results speak for themselves." And I fired him right after that. I left his office and never went back.
Yeah, you went vegetarian, right? I did the exact opposite.
Right.
I followed
He
your
just got
counter
done telling
advice.
me how good he's got done telling me how good I've done, and then it was pissed because it wasn't his idea to go vegetarian and stop lifting.
Oh, he doesn't get the credit to your health, right?
Nope.
I wonder how many other patients he's given that suggestion to, and they come back, and then I wonder how they did after that. Probably just
That's a very, very sad reality.
yeah, probably just continued spiraling out of control, right? Spiraling downwards, unfortunately, because avoiding nutrient dense foods is never going to be the answer in any scenario, in any case ever.
Yeah. And what's sad is, and I don't think all doctors are mean to be that way. I think some have good intentions. I think others might be compromised by, pharmaceuticals or whatever. I don't know. But the fact is, so many people trust them because they're the experts. They're the ones who went to medical school all those years. But the fact is, you know, they don't know nutrition, and they're following some age-old guidance that was funded by companies that make money off their advice. And it's just, there are some doctors that have come around to it, just not enough yet. I think they're still stuck. And part of it maybe too, if I go into a doctor's office, right, it's like a assembly line of
Yeah,
sick people. Here's your pill next. Here's your pill next. And
Yeah.
maybe they don't have the time to. I don't know if it's arrogance, time, laziness. I don't know, but a lot too many of them don't want to come to realization that they're wrong when it comes to nutrition.
Yeah. No, I think you have a really good point there, that it's probably like just so many things, right? They don't have the time. They have so many clients. They have a massive student loan debt that they took on, so they cannot be wrong because they're disinvested, right? So there's like all these list of things that doesn't allow them to, kind of look into nutrition, or I don't know. I mean, the nutrition aspect is vegetarian. Go vegetarian, right? That's the recommendation. Except no one can really stick to it because you're basically starving yourself.
Yeah, yeah. All they've heard for years and years, and the little they learned about nutrition is, red meat, saturated fat, cholesterol, bad.
Yeah.
Right, bad for the heart, bad for everything else, and they don't second guess it, right? But by the time they're prescribing you the pills, they've doubled down so much. It would take I don't know what it would take to change their mind, other than their own initiative, right? Because even a walking example is not enough for them,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Look at society today. I mean, we are more sick than we've ever been in history. I mean, so what they're teaching and subscribing to isn't working.
It's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we are, however, doubling down on this effort because someone believes that works, but no.
Yeah, yeah, and I think it's amazing to see people like you doing the hard work, right? Because I think stories like this are what's going to drive the needle. When other people are in desperate situations, they have to go to YouTube to find someone with a similar story, and then that's going to resonate with them more than any advice that any doctor would ever give them, right? It's mind blowing, but that's what it seems it's going to come down to. Which leads me to the next question for you. What drove you to start the No Carbs Nation? I love the name, by the way. Absolutely love the name.
Yeah.
I wish I came up with it. But what drove you to start? Not only your Instagram page, but your YouTube channel. Now you put your face out there. You're talking to the camera. That's not something easy to do. It's very intimidating, and I can only imagine you must have thought about doing that for a long time before you actually went ahead and did it.
Yeah, way outside my comfortability level for sure. I still struggle with it if I'm being fully transparent. But so the name, No Carbs Nation. So I am a big fan of the beach, right? I live in Ohio, but I wish I lived on the coast somewhere. I love the beach, and which No Shoes Nation is kind of a beach theme type thing. I've always been part of that. So as I started eliminating carbs to get my health back, I thought, No Carbs Nation, right? What kind of world would that be if I didn't have to wear shoes on the beach all day? It'd be pretty cool. If we didn't have carbs to ruin our health, that'd be pretty cool. So that's where that came up with. And the reason why I created it for two reasons. One, to try to make awareness so that people didn't have to suffer the way I did. They didn't have to let their health get that bad. So I wanted to create awareness about some lifestyle choices when it comes to eating, hoping that I could get the message across to some people before it got bad. And on the other side of that was for people that were suffering the same things that I was suffering through, to let them know, it's not too late. You can still help fight this. You can help improve your health before it's ultimately too late, by going to this lifestyle. So that was my goal, is to help others. That's purely it. The name I thought was catchy, and I got it from No Shoes Nation. And the goal was to simply help. So that was why I created the Instagram, right? I did, if you look, my very first post is a picture of me on the beach with no shirt on. I'm a complete fat guy. It's not appealing, but it was my accountability post to say, hey, here's the old me, next screen over is the new me. I'm going to do, some more of these. And then for the YouTube, which is, again, very hard for me, way outside my comfort zone, I had told my son, oldest son at the time, that when we get a CAC test and the results come back, if they're not completely horrible, that telling me I'm dying next week, I'm going to create a YouTube video. So got the results back. They weren't too bad. And so I kept my word to my son and created it. And so I've been messing with that for, going on 2 years now, maybe a little over 2 years. So again, just trying to spread awareness, trying to hopefully somebody can benefit from both those platforms and my Twitter platform.
Nice.
Oh yeah, that's right. You're on Twitter too. That's right. Yeah, I've seen you there. No Carbs Nation. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was the same person on Twitter and on Instagram for a little bit till I saw the same picture.
Yeah. So yeah, you were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. When did you find that out?
Oh, I was in my 30s.
30s,
Yeah, early 30s.
early 30s. And uh, why or did you change anything once you found out or
You would think, right? So, as I mentioned, when I hit 30, I started getting these health issues, and you would think that a smart guy would make some changes. And to be again, I'm very transparent. I was an idiot. I thought, it's just part of getting old. More pills, and I let.
Ooh, did we lose a little bit of connection there?
Hey, Eric, you froze for a sec.
Hey, Eric.
Well, you're still
Oh,
frozen.
you there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're
we're
back.
here.
You're back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
So yeah. I saw we had a little technical glitch there, but short story is no. When I first got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I did not make any changes. In fact, it got worse. They had prescribed
Oh
at one
no.
point.
Oh.
It's the winter storm. It's trying to mess
Yeah.
us up. Yeah, you got prescribed.
Yeah, they don't want him sharing the message.
Greater Forces wants to stop this.
Yeah. Big Pharma's attacking the channel.
I am sorry, guys.
Oh
No,
no, don't sweat it. Don't sweat it.
you're good.
It's Big Pharma.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't like our message.
Yeah.
No, my diabetes got worse because I didn't
Yeah.
address it. So
Yeah. So you said, yeah, your diabetes got worse. You started getting prescribed probably higher doses of insulin.
Or metformin.
it wasn't insulin; it was pill. I
Oh.
want to say, was it metformin?
Metformin. Yeah. That's probably the one
So-
you never got to the point of taking insulin.
No, but I think I was when my A1C hit 10.1. I think I was getting pretty close at that point.
Wow. And then later also came the sleep apnea.
Yeah. So my snoring was so bad that my wife and kids couldn't stand living in the same house as me. I mean, it was awful. So I'm told. Stop breathing in the middle of the night. It's just the whole 9 yards. So was convinced to go do a sleep study. They said, "Oh yeah, you're bad. Here's a machine." And I know you guys are young. I don't know if you've married or have families yet, but let me tell you, sleep apnea machine is not cool for relationships. Yeah,
It's not sexy.
no, not in the least. It did help. I mean, I was in pretty bad shape. It did help, but it was a pain in the ass. It just was awful.
Yeah. No. I think that's like kind of an scary experience, right? To like require like a machine to kind of help you breathe throughout the night. Otherwise, why you just like choke to death, or I don't know.
Stop breathing.
Stop
You
breathing.
literally stop breathing so many times a night.
Man.
Yeah. So that means like you were waking up like consistently in your sleep, just completely interrupted. Yeah. Not being able.
My sleep was awful. Between the acid reflux and the sleep apnea, my sleep patterns were horrendous.
Oh yeah. So you also had acid reflux. Because right, it sounds like there's like a buildup, like a timeline of buildup events. So type 2 diabetes, sleep apnea, acid reflux was also happening around this time.
Yeah. So
it started with the acid reflux. That was the very first health symptom. Late 20s, around 30 years old, which progressed worse and worse over the years.
Man.
Yeah. So was the GERD diagnosis like was that separate from the acid reflux? And then when did the Barrett esophagus come in?
Well, it started with the acid reflux, and then I was diagnosed with GERD. My stomach I'd eat something and it looked like I had a basketball in my belly. It just was the irritable bowel, all that. But the acid reflux got so bad that it didn't matter what I ate. I couldn't sleep that night. It was coming up. It was in my throat, waking me out of sleep. It was, sometimes you'd aspirate it and, have trouble breathing. It was awful. Well, my answer was keep taking Tums, keep taking the prescribed stomach medicine from the docs, but nothing was fixing it. So it got to the point where at some point there in my early 30s, it got to the point where I started choking when I was trying to eat, right? I couldn't swallow. And when I couldn't swallow a Tylenol one day, I thought I need to go to the doctor. So I said, hey, I can't swallow. I'd be out for a business lunch. I had to excuse myself because the food would stick right here. You get to try to get it out. It was awful. So long story short, went for a scope. They put me at the twilight. And when I came to, I remember my wife and the doctor that did the scope looking at me, and they both looked really pissed off. I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? And he said they couldn't do the whole procedure because they couldn't get the scope down my throat. There was so much scar tissue built up from the acid. So my esophagus had ulcers in it. So every couple months, they had to go scrape a little more away out of the scar tissue so they could get it all the way down. Once they did, it wasn't just my esophagus lined with ulcers and scar tissue, it was my entire stomach as well. Just from years of the acid reflux. It was awful. So during that time, they take the tissues and they test it, and Barrett's esophagus, which is a precursor to throat cancer. And again, you think that would have been enough to scare the shit out of me to completely change, but still wasn't enough yet. So I had to go at that time then every 3 months, and every 6 months, and every year. I'm every 2 years now. For the rest of my life, they have to go in and check because to make sure that Barrett's doesn't come back. I know people personally who have died from throat cancer, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. It's that still lingers in the back of my head. All those years of abuse to myself with what I was eating and drinking led to that. And it was needless. Didn't have to be that way.
Wow. Barrett's esophagus. That sounds. I mean, it's precursor to cancer. That's very serious. And you said also that the stomach. There was a lot of scar tissue in the stomach, and they were the doctors also trying to scrape that off, or what?
They had to scrape the esophagus so they could get the scope down. Now, again, after going to this lifestyle, my scopes, knock on wood, are clear as can be. Everything looks great. So I have healed myself.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. And so back then, was it just like eating a lot of like junk food? Like what was your thing? Like pizza at night and like beer with ice cream, and was it the sweets? Was it more the savory stuff?
It wasn't as much as the sweets, although I did partake in the sweets. I liked ice cream and donuts, cookies. I loved Italian food, right? A lot of pasta, a lot of sauces. I loved Mexican food, a lot of spices, tortillas, beans. I liked chips. I was a chip freak. Just everything that's not good for you. I used to drink pop, used to drink beer, used to chew tobacco. That certainly didn't help. Just all these bad habits. And on top of that, so I was in a very stressful job, worked a lot of hours, wasn't getting much sleep. So what do you do when you're stressed and tired at that time? You eat more junk, right? More garbage. You drink a little more. It was just a massive combination of mess. It was just a disaster.
Yeah. Well, especially because these types of foods they don't really satisfy your hunger. And so if you're stressed, you're already hungry because you haven't been really feeding yourself, to eat more of that. So it's just spiraling out of control there.
Yeah. And again, it's all my fault. I was an idiot. I accepted things and I didn't do anything to help it at that time. And, obviously I suffered for that down the road. And looking back, I'd like to go back and really kick myself. And number one, my wife and kids certainly didn't deserve that. They deserve better, and I deserve better. And again, it's no one's fault but my own. But hopefully, maybe others don't have to go through what I went through.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So yes,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to add that I mean, it's yes, there's always the personal responsibility aspect of it, but like information out there, right, is telling you, it's kind of like purposely, I feel like it's designed to kind of keep you out of the know for as long as possible. So I'm trying I'm not trying to be
Oh,
so hard on you, right?
well,
But
even when I wanted to eat healthy, so growing up, I was an athlete. I went to the military. But I remember in high school they would tell us, you have to eat a healthy breakfast. That healthy breakfast was cereal, toast, fruit, and a glass of juice. You know what sugar is in that breakfast right there? That's
Jeez.
awful. And again, we're taught that's healthy. That was
yeah,
healthy back then. And
yeah,
that's the way I was raised and believed. And, my goodness, it couldn't be any further from the truth.
yeah, yeah. And at least if you don't have the OJ, you at least have the cereal, right? So it's either way, it's like doesn't work.
Yeah, it's garbage, all of it.
Yeah.
And another big thing I remember was, the whole grain push. Whole grain, whole grain, whole grain's awful for you. And then they came with the whole, low fat, fat free, low fat. Again, it's like I said before, look around society today, right? I grew up decades of, low fat, no fat, eat your grains, eat your fruits, and and all this stuff. And our society is more sick now than they've ever been. It doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The grain push is still pretty heavy, um,
Mhm.
and I mean you can only have to look at the cows, right? You have grain-fed cows and grass-fed cows. You feed the grain to the cow to make them fat, or you tell the humans to eat the grains.
And you expect a different result? Like it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Again, I think the message is getting out. The fact, and I just did another podcast interview with another young guy. He was 21. The fact, looking at you guys, looking at him, the fact that you know this already at this such a young age, and you've got a stage here to put the word out, to influence others, especially as young folks like you, is fantastic. I mean, in my eyes, you guys are wise beyond your years, and I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah.
No, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. We appreciate what you're doing too, man, because
Yeah,
it's a fight we all have to fight on our fronts, right? Like it's not just gonna take one of us. It's gotta be grassroots, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
we can't wait. It's gonna take like 20, 30 years for the science to, become official, become mainstream and have all these experts, finally like backtracking what they've been preaching for decades now. It's funny because one of the things we posted this week was just this clip from Dr. Stanford, which is this lady who made it to the 2025 Dietary Advisory Guidelines Committee. Saying like obesity is genetic, and then fun fact, like someone actually messaged us from just people always send you like random stuff. They sent us a lecture from the same doctor that was 4 years ago. She gave this lecture in Harvard, and it was all about obesity, right? So she's like, oh, what's the cause of obesity? And for this whole hour lecture, she explains like the mechanisms that make people overeat and how satiety works in the brain, and there's basically it's all these hormone mechanics, right, that work in place to tell you when to stop eating. And so she comes to the conclusion like, oh, it's our hormone signaling that's not working. And then the other half of the lecture is like, here's all these medicines we have to fix the hormone signaling. And it was just like 8 or 10 or 12 different pills. She's like, oh, my patients, I'll give him a combo of these ones, and then we can get their weight to drop down here. Let's just show the charts. And then, they'd stagnate over here, and then we try like upping the dose, and then boom, they drop even further. And I'm like, at no point in the whole lecture did this woman mention nutrition. She never mentioned the food. She never mentioned anything. It was all like this like super complicated, right? Like hormones and the body and the brain and the gut. which was very interesting information, right? Like I'm sure it's true, but just completely missing the point.
That's
And
awful.
yeah, and now they're, she's in the dietary advisory guidelines now, like the committee.
Sounds like a good candidate to place if you want medicine to be sold.
Yeah, absolutely. It's literally what this lady is, and and you can see that lecture was 4 years ago. She's been preaching this message for a while now.
Wow.
And now she's like at the peak of her career, right? And it's, oh my God, yeah, it's crazy. It's completely
I don't know
upside
if
down.
I don't know if it's any correlation, but I have never met a pharmaceutical sales rep that wasn't very well off. Might be a correlation. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine.
Yeah, you need a patient population, right, in order to sell.
Yeah, you have
no profits and healthy people.
Yeah, you have the sales reps going out to the doctors, and then it's basically like affiliate marketing. Like, hey, doctor, there are many prescriptions. If you give 1,000 prescriptions, you'll get to go on a cruise.
Right. It's a sad reality today.
Yeah, tragic.
Yeah. So, so after going through all of these events, what was like that changing point? Like, what really pushed you to the edge? It doesn't seem like it was more medicine, more esophagus surgeries.
So yeah, it was again, the snowball over the many years, the stomach issues, right? The diabetes, the sleep apnea, the brain fog. So in my mid 40s, there started getting the chest pains, the shortness of breath, the brain fog. I think I mentioned that. One night, the neuropathy hit out of nowhere. So laying on my bed, watch TV, from my knees down to my toes, my legs were ice cold, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? That is weird. Couldn't shake it. Next day wouldn't go away. Next day still there. I went to the ER. My fingers are numb and tingly. My bottom extremities are freezing cold. Like, what the hell's going on? So go to the ER, more tests, right? They test me for stroke and heart attack and all that, and that's all clear. They said, here, you need to go call this neurologist in the morning. Like, neurologist? What? Guy goes, well, some of the symptoms, could be like MS. Well, that right there scared the world out of me. Thankfully, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I went to neuro.
Sorry, keep going. Yeah, sorry.
So I went to the neurologist, bunch of scans, tests, and more doctors sent me for more tests, probes, prod scans, and they couldn't figure out why. Here is a complication from diabetes, I believe, is that neuropathy is just one more complication. Again, things were just, the A1C was climbing, just the whole body was fighting me. So that scared me enough where, okay, too many health issues, the whole scare of MS, the whole scare that these doctors can't tell me what the hell's going on, all the different things. I was coaching football at the time, and I thought I was having a heart attack on the sideline. So we watched TV with my wife at night. I think I was having a heart attack, and because it would get so tight and just, the brain fog scared the shit. So it was a combination of all these things just scared the shit out of me, and I was getting desperate. I've told the story a million times. I apologize if I bore you with it, but middle of the night, 2 a.m. I'm Googling away all my symptoms, trying to figure out what's going on with me, because it literally felt like my body was fighting me. I was fighting myself. It was shutting down, saying, I'm done. I was 45. I thought, I'm not even going to make it to 50. My wife's going to be a widow. My kids aren't going to have a dad. I won't see my grandkids, someday, all this stuff. So I was pretty desperate. So I was Googling, stumbled across an article where this guy had some similar health issues and reversed it, or not reversed it, but cured a lot of those issues by going to what they called a keto diet. I swear I'd never heard of the word keto before this. So I'm like, interested. So I read more, think, okay, this guy has the brain fog, the neuropathy, type 2 diabetes. He no longer has type 2 diabetes. He's no longer on medication. He doesn't have these things. So I start Googling more. I'm going deeper down the Google rabbit hole. I must have been on that computer till 5 a.m. reading different articles and finding different examples of people curing stuff that, they couldn't even label before that. I was so desperate. I'm like, I have to try it. I have to try, because I was scared. So I was bound and determined that morning. It was December 15th, 2017. I'm going to start with under 30 carbs a day. See where that takes me. So that's what I did. So I started under 30 carbs a day. First thing I noticed was the weight loss. The weight started coming off pretty quick. I started to feel better. At that time, I was experiencing exercise intolerance. I was able to start exercising a little more and more. I was getting my endurance back. The brain fog was clearing up. I mean, all these things started feeling better. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was out to dinner with some friends. The guy said, hey, you ever heard of Dr. Sean Baker? He doesn't do what you do, but he eats strictly meat. Like, check him out. I checked him out. I'm thinking, you know what? I'm feeling really good on this lifestyle. So, I'm going to cut the carbs down to 0 to 10. I'm going to eat, mostly meat. I'm going to see how that goes. And I started feeling even more better. Started losing more weight, getting more energy. And I'm like, I literally had a new lease on life. I was so freaking excited. And again, started getting off this medication, getting off that medication. Everything was improving. My entire life was improving. And by all those health ailments, I would say within 6 months or so, 90% of them were gone, completely gone, which to me was it was amazing. And I was sold from there on. I said to myself, I'm never going back to feeling that way. I'm going to enjoy things in life that I don't think I would have gotten to experience. Right? I'm going to walk my daughter down the aisle. I'm going to play with my grandkids. I'm going to do all these things because I am not going back the old way. I will eat like this until they bury me.
Wow. So at 45, I mean, you found about keto, and then if you don't mind sharing, how much were you weighing at that point?
So I'm trying to go back. I'm horrible with tracking. So I can tell you the highest I ever been was 242.
Wow.
Shortly before going keto, I did try the old stereotypical starving yourself type diet. So I lost a little weight before going keto, not much because those diets aren't, real successful anyway. So, I was at 242 at one point that year. When I started keto, I may have been closer to 230. And I can go back and look through my logs. I know within 6 months, I was down to low 180s.
Wow.
6 months. Wow.
Wow. And the neuropathy was one of the first things that, that started going away once you kind of went on this diet.
Yeah. So the neuropathy went away fairly quick. Again, that one was really freaky to me.
Yeah.
So the neuropathy, the weight loss, obviously, the brain fog, the endurance, the exercise intolerance went away. The A1C started dropping pretty well. Again, ultimately got off those meds. The triglycerides at one time when I started, or I don't have them right when I started, but I don't know, it was maybe a year before that. They were in the 260s, I think 268, which is awful.
Yeah.
They've been consistently in the low 80s now for years. Despite the LDL going up and the doctors freaking out about that, which I will not even entertain. The fact that triglycerides came way down. A1C went from 10.1 to 5.3. I mean, that just goes to show you all the shit that we eat in this country is it's not food, right? It's chemically processed. It's garbage. It's not healthy for you. And everything we've been told not to eat is actually what we should be eating all along, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, fully there with you. It's almost like you got to do the exact opposite. Ask them what to do and then do the exact opposite. See the results.
Oh
no, we lost it.
Eric.
Well, I think
Oh man,
he should hop back on.
Yeah, he should hop back on. Oh
Lost
man.
Eric for a short bit.
Yeah, no, but that's incredible.
Yeah,
Neuropathy, that's such a scary thing, not being able to feel your limbs, um, your legs, your fingers. And they told him he had MS.
yeah, that's it's just evil.
That's,
That's just borderline evil.
yeah.
Hey, Eric,
There you go. Sorry.
we get the
Oh
trumpets for you.
man,
He's back.
Welcome
man,
back.
that was awful. I
Yeah.
apologize again. I hope that's not my internet.
Oh, I don't
No,
know.
they're trying to silence you.
Yeah.
This is active censorship going on.
Yeah, because people are going to look for, answers for neuropathy, answers for GERD, answers for type 2 diabetes.
Yeah, just think about all the medications that you're just like destroying one by one. Boom, 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 boom.
All
know.
through food.
Yeah, all through food. Yeah, guys, if you're watching the video, make sure you like and go share because they're trying to censor Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I truly, and again, the moral story is I truly hope that people don't have to suffer. I hope they don't have to go through this. It's, and I'm afraid people don't actually, they won't change. I think some people won't until they get to the point where they're scared to death, scared to their life. And I'm hoping that the more people, all of us in this community, convinced to change their ways before they get to that point, the better.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a great segue into we have some statistics about diabetes. And we know you shared them in a video, but I just wanted to mention them too. So currently, I checked this from the CDC. It's estimated around 11% of the population in the USA, that's 387 million people, have diabetes. 95% of them being type 2 diabetes. 38% of the population have pre-diabetes. That's 96 million people in the US alone. Wow. Worldwide, 537 million people live with diabetes, and 3 out of 4 in low and middle income countries. 3 out of 4 adults in low and middle income countries have diabetes. What is going on? Why is diabetes such a big issue? What are your thoughts on those statistics? And I know like there's many more alarming statistics, like over the past like 10 years, they keep on doubling the numbers, and it just there's no sign that this is stopping, right?
No.
So what do you think is going on here?
I think it all boils down to lifestyle and what we're putting in our bodies. It's a direct correlation in my eyes. It's a combination. Again, the foods we're eating, the drinks we're drinking, and our sedentary lifestyle. I think it's a combination of disaster. And we want to fix everything today, like you mentioned with drugs, right? Like that doctor was talking about. You said during that speech.
Yeah.
We're going to keep giving drugs. And all that's doing is masking the problems. It's not fixing the problem. It's not doing anything to address the root cause of the problem. You're just masking it. So, and you're right, it's getting worse. It's not getting better. And in my video on type 2 diabetes, I mentioned the cost in this country between lost work and different things associated with type 2 diabetes. I forget the number. It's staggering. And how many people, they say 87,000 people a year have lower limbs amputated due to diabetes.
Man,
And yet people still continue. Just look around, go to the store, right? Go anywhere out in public, and just people are just consuming garbage, and they look so unhealthy. And again, it doesn't have to be that way, but I think our society has gotten so used to it, so comfortable with it. Like, if you mention that someone is out of shape or unhealthy, they're going to say, you're fat shaming. No, we're not. I'm trying to help someone. But yeah, it's just society is accepting it more and more, I think. And then again, if we continue to eat the way we're eating, it'll never get better. It'll continue to get worse. In my opinion, diabetes is a pandemic.
Yeah.
No, I think that's just facts.
Absolutely. Diabetes has the highest one of the highest
risk factors
for heart disease, as opposed to LDL.
Yeah.
It's like multiples. It's like 8 times. If you have diabetes, you have 8 times the probability not 20% more or something like that. You have like 800%, something like that.
Yeah. And I think I read where 40% of new kidney failure cases each year are directly correlated to diabetes as well.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like it's a disease where your body starts failing. So your body starts failing, more stuff can go wrong.
And what's crazy is type 2 diabetes will kill you over a long period of time. It's a slow death. That's what's crazy. It's, again, people just accept it. I'm getting old, part of life, but you don't realize if you don't fix what's the root cause of that, it's going to continue to get worse slowly over time. And it's ugly. It's nasty.
Yeah. You like you said, you end up a lot of people end up getting their limbs amputated. That's like one of the worst case scenarios. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because when I grew up, I understood diabetes as irreversible, right? I think that was that the common knowledge?
It's still the belief today by some. I can't tell you how many people will flat out argue until they're blue in the face that you can't reverse diabetes. Now, type 1, that's completely different.
Yeah.
Type 2, but they'll say you can't reverse type 2 diabetes. Like, that's bullshit. That's how many people have done it already. Not just me, but several people have proven you could do that just by changing what you eat.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, is it effectively reversed or is it put in remission? Because I know some people will argue the difference between those two.
I'm not sure what the difference is. In my mind, it's gone. I've cured it because, right? So, yes, I'm choosing not to eat certain foods. I'm sure if I went back to eating those foods, it would come back. But by eating what I eat, it's gone, right? It does not come back, does not show its face. My A1C stays in the lower range and is not budged in years. So, if I'm eating until I'm full, right, I'm not starving myself. I eat until I'm full. I eat when I'm hungry. I stop eating when I'm not hungry. It's just what I'm eating. So in my eyes, if I'm no longer on medicine, no longer A1C, I've cured it. Now, people can argue, tomato, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue with them.
Yeah,
absolutely. No, I agree. That if you don't observe it and you're following, you're eating until you're full, why would it pop up? Right, like it's gone, right? It's cured.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
Some people, and some people even say, well, eating all meat will raise your blood sugar. I don't know where they got that information from, but I eat at least 2 pounds of meat a day, and mine doesn't budge.
I know, right? It's like, super steady blood sugars. I used to measure a lot in my first year of carnivore, and doesn't really move. Doesn't really move. So
meat doesn't turn to cookies. Some people.
Some people will say, that. Oh, it'll kick you out of ketosis, which is irrelevant because you still feel good. You operate super good. Doesn't really raise your blood sugars. So
yeah. So Eric, I know that I've heard that one of the bigger issues from people with type 2 diabetes is that they get diagnosed, they'll get put on metformin, but some of them are like okay with that. Like some of them don't want to change the way they eat. They don't want to give up the carbs. They just want to, they'll have high blood pressure. They want their high blood pressure pills, the metformin, and maybe like cholesterol lowering statins. It seems like many people just don't care. What would you say to these people?
Sadly, I was one of those people at one point, right?
Yeah. So what would it take for someone, back then, someone like could grab a hold of you and maybe knock some sense into you, or like, is it just something that you kind of have to realize it for yourself, maybe, right? Like, kind of have to hit rock bottom and then.
Again, in society today, we just accept it, right? We'll take this pill to mask that system, take this pill to mask another one, and continue to live our carefree life, right? Eating like shit, drinking, and having a horrible lifestyle. Thing I would say to them is, you want to virtually slap them a little bit and say, hey, wake up. Yes, you're feeling okay right now because you're masking the system, but if you're not going to address that problem, these heydays, this whole, go ahead and live a little. Yeah, well, that live a little is going to cost you here down the road. So, that's what my message to them would be is stop screwing around, wake up, and start addressing the root causes.
Yeah, yeah, and because down the line, it's obviously gonna be painful just going through that experience. It's gonna cost a lot of money, a lot of time, and then that just the burden is gonna impose not only on you but on your family and on everyone surrounding you. Like, there's no way to measure that. Um, I just wish people, you know, maybe it's just the lack of information, like you were saying, right? They're not presented with good options or like the right information. That reminds me, one of the stories that Dr. Sean Baker shares, because he was an orthopedic surgeon, was that one of the things we'd have to do was actually like do the amputations for like diabetics, and then say like he had to like amputate a foot. His boss, or like what would you call, like the medic boss, would tell him, oh, amputate from the knee down, right? It was something like that.
Yeah, it was like they had to amputate the toe, perhaps, or maybe the feet.
Yeah,
but his head surgeon.
Yeah, the head surgeon would tell him, just do it from the knee down, right? And it was like, but why? Why? Like, like there's no need for that. And then the head surgeon would say, because these people don't change, because they'll come back next year, so we're actually saving them money. And I just think that that mentality is like, it's just so telling. It's so scary, but it's the reality we live in. It doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, you're right. 100% right.
It just doesn't have to be that way. It's overwhelming. But
and I think like the challenge right now is also the younger generation. Since they're young, they're not 45, or they're not these
50 now
or 50, and so obviously, like you say, they're gonna feel good when they're young, and there's no doctor that's gonna tell them you have MS, right, when they're 20, right? So it's tough in that respect, where the threat is not as palpable as it was for you further down the line.
I will say, I think the younger generation today, they're facing a different set of problems. Like, I don't think, like with veganism, or like demonizing the red meat, like that's very prevalent in the way of thinking today. And I know many like young people, like 20-year-olds, people in high school, who get put on these like SSRIs, SNRIs, like that sort of medication. And that's just like another example of things that people have have effectively removed those medications, just by changing their nutrition, right? Maybe there's something about the fat, or like maybe it's the ketosis that kind of just like helps your brain like rewire and you start working better. But yeah, I think like the normalizing of those conditions, those illnesses, it's a different animal, right? It's a different beast that the younger generation is going to have to tackle.
I guess on the positive side is the younger generation has the internet now, and more access to maybe the truth, if you will. So that's on one side. That's the brighter side of that, I guess. But yeah, you're right. It's just they're very impressionable too. So if you get the wrong person influencing them, it's not good.
Yeah. I mean, you have Netflix, right? Power of Netflix, advertising, vegan documentaries, right? So that's a lot of power. That's what we're up against, basically.
Speaking of vegans, I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying this, but have you guys dealt with the crazies out there that, again, I don't care what people eat. It's people can eat whatever they feel like, but do you guys get attacked as much as I do on social media by these crazies that they claim to be vegans? That, I mean, they're just intolerable.
Yeah, they're. I mean, we've gotten death threats. Like, I can say that. Like it's just, I get the message requests, right? And they're like, I hope you die. Like, I'm gonna kill you, you carnist. And I'm like, hey, you do you. I'll be here for when shit hits the fan. I'll be here.
Yeah.
I'll be doing the same thing I'm doing. I'll be here to tell you to eat meat.
Oh.
Yeah, go eat a burger. You might feel better.
I know, right?
Yeah. No, it's a whole thing, and they come to the page. They have a whole meltdown. They keep on coming back day after day, day after day. They're not following the page, but they keep on coming back.
Right.
Some have gotten like really nasty, even attacking others. And when they do that, I block them. I don't like to block
Yep.
them because I don't like to. It's free entertainment, and sometimes you can share the comments on the stories, and people find it hilarious, right? But then if the ones I block, they come back through another account, and they have like 4 different accounts. It's insane. It's by all means a mental illness. I think that's fair to say.
Agreed.
Yeah, we had I don't know if you follow the page, No Reason to Be Vegan. We had her on the podcast. Kelsey from No Reason to Be Vegan. Great lady. We dove into it, right? The ethics of eating meat and veganism, the whole hoax. Great episode. In case anyone listening wants to dive into that topic, definitely go follow her page, because it's a thing. And as you said, I don't care what other people choose to eat, but there's just no reason to put yourself through that. Like, there's legitimately zero reasons to actually adopt that lifestyle. Like, everything you think you're doing or any benefit you think you're providing, you would actually find like doing the exact opposite of it. Crazy. And they're actually harming people. Like, that the whole agenda, it is actually hurting people. So
Yep.
maybe we should care more.
Good point.
Yeah, it's I know, right? Because it's just a realization that I came to after talking to her. But
Yeah.
that being said, so why don't you tell us a bit about how your family took this whole transitioning into keto and carnivore? Have you converted them to carnivore? Do they think you're crazy? I mean, obviously they've seen the benefit, but how did you navigate that situation?
So my extended family is a whole nother topic. That's a whole different story. But my internal family here, my household. So I'm married with 4 kids. I'll start with my wife. She has been extremely supportive. She has, definitely helped me, over the past 5 years with this whole transition, with helping cook and things like that. She dabbled in low carb for a little bit and was very successful with it. Thankfully she's healthy as an ox, so she hasn't gone quite as extreme as I have. So she's still, she'll still have her sweets and do what she does, but she's very healthy, and I'm very fortunate for that. My youngest son actually, it's not 100% carnivore, but he's pretty damn close. He was a high school football player. He's been out of school for a year now, and he's probably, he was probably 225 playing weight, and he's probably about 180, 185 now.
Wow.
Still a strong kid, but isn't partaking in as much of the garbage as he used to, and he eats as much meat as I do. So he's neck and neck in terms. We go through a lot of meat.
Nice.
My oldest son, he's still trying to figure it out. I think he's starting to experience some health issues a little bit, but he'd mentioned that someone had told him about vegetarian, so I quickly tried to guide him in a different direction. Explain, he knows my whole story. He knows, just to example what I've overcome. So I think that'd be all right. What's funny is my daughter's actually in nursing school, and she's a great girl. But we mentioned how the doctors don't learn nutrition. What they're teaching her is just wrong. she'll make comments once in a while, but again, right, the proof's in the pudding, right? So long story short, they haven't all converted. My youngest one's probably the closest to carnivore out of the family, and he's probably 90% meat and eggs. But they've all been supportive. It's now the extended family is a little different story, but maybe that's for another day.
No, but I mean, yeah, your kids are young, and they know what you went through, right? So they have that. It's not like carnivore is the way, but as long as they're eating more meat, and you're a living testament that that was the solution to basically all of the health issues you were facing.
And they grew up observing those issues, right? They lived through dad's trips to the ERs and all the BS that went with it. So they know. So hopefully that example is paying off, and I think it is. And like I said, they haven't gone extreme yet, but they are still young and healthy. But I hope it's doing some good. I like to think it is.
Yeah. Did you get any pushback when you first told them you were doing the keto and then maybe doing the carnivore? We're like,
not from them. No. It's my daughter will throw some pushback once in a while. Again, just from her nursing school classes, but I'll educate her pretty quickly too. So
you're like, no, everything is wrong. You listen to me.
It makes for a fun debate. We're respectful, but
yeah.
Now some of my extended family, not as supportive and understanding.
Yeah. And your wife, because you were going to the ER and now you're going high fat. I'm sure that probably wasn't easy for her to kind of accept and let you.
Yeah, she probably was like trying to give you some celery here and there at some point, or
she was very concerned because of the health issues I was experiencing. So she might have looked at me a little weird when I started this, but she also knew I was desperate. I think I set her mind at ease, but as things changed for the better, more her eyes were opened, and she completely understands now.
Yeah.
She'll tell you too. I mean, we'll go to the grocery store and she'll be like, look at all the garbage in this. I mean, so her eyes have been opened. I guess she's not, fully converted, but she does understand and accept that, the food that people are eating today. She works in the school cafeteria, and she'll tell you all of it's garbage. None of it's healthy. And so yes, so she's very supportive now. She's very understanding. She actually agrees with me, and she's been, I guess, converted from a knowledge base.
Nice. Yeah, because the results speak for themselves, and it sounds like you were able to quickly turn around your situation just by like adopting a different nutrition lifestyle. Like it seems like within a year, like your whole life just changed. Which
and again, I think the big thing for her was she has a little more confidence now that we're going to be together for a while, and she won't have to go through the pain of the alternative.
Yeah, man, and I saw your Instagram. Like, man, like you look healthy, you look strong. Stay strong. Like you're putting in the work. You're definitely putting in the work. Like I saw you deadlifting. Yeah. So is weightlifting something you've always done in your life, or just like picked up more lately?
I got introduced to weights at 12 years old. My stepdad was a football coach and strength coach, and he introduced me to the Pumping Iron documentary and took me to my first bodybuilding show. And so it's, that was my first introduction. Although, my methods of lifting have changed over the years. I mean, I'm always learning, right? I'm always, there's so many good people to learn from out there. And even at 50 years old now, I'm still watching videos and learning and trying different techniques, different angles, different, rest reps and things like that. So it's always evolving, but it's more of a passion. I love the weights. I've never competed. I'm not the strongest. I'm not the best looking, but I just, I love the weights. For me also, it's it's good mentally, right? It's just
Mhm.
and as we get older, I would like to maintain some strength, and I think that's key to getting old. It's um, there's a one quote: "We don't stop lifting because we get old. We get old because we stop lifting."
Mm.
I'm trying to make sure that doesn't happen.
Nice. I
Uh,
like that.
yeah, I'm not gonna stop lifting then. Maybe I can stay like this.
Yeah.
That's my goal, is to lift forever if I can.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you definitely look strong, man. Like
Thank you.
definitely a lot of muscle there, which is
Thank you.
which is, obviously it's a big achievement. Obviously a sickly person is not going to have a lot of muscle. Um, so
And like I mentioned, the exercise intolerance, when it was really bad, around 45 there, that was awful. I'd go to the gym. I wouldn't last 10 minutes. And that's
mm,
awful. That was a scary moment. Again, one of the many things that finally clicked to say, something's got to change.
yeah. So yeah, wow. Try to do a squat, and then 10 minutes. Uh, you would have to probably pause, or maybe
I had to
go
leave.
back,
I was done.
leave.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
Wow.
done. And
Wow.
that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
So that's a very interesting thing, because a lot of people say, you want to get healthy, you want to start doing weights, uh, but it sounds like, obviously, if you don't have your nutrition in check, in a good spot, you can't even physically perform. Um,
Yeah.
so it's not even a matter of eat less, move more, right? When you cannot possibly move more. Um, so no, that's very interesting.
Yeah, I hate the whole eat less advice. Uh, that's awful. It's the quality of what you're eating. I think that matters, and nutrition is key, right? People always think that in order to lose weight, I need to do all this cardio.
Mm,
Without fixing your diet, I don't care. The amount of cardio you do doesn't matter. You're not going to out cardio a shitty diet. You just aren't. And
Yeah.
yeah, nutrition's first, plain and simple. You have to get that right in order to do the other things.
yeah. Yeah, nutrition right, get healthy, and then once you're healthy, you're capable of moving weights, doing your cardio, uh, doing all these activities. Um, yeah, I can't imagine someone trying to fix their type 2 diabetes with 10-mile runs.
Yeah, ain't
Um,
Oh
happening.
man.
no.
So do you feel like you miss the carbs for your training?
No, not at all. And that's another thing. People say, well, you can't train without carbs. Bullshit. Look at Dr. Baker, right? I think he just turned 56, right? And he
Yeah.
posted this video of, what was he deadlifting, something ridiculous for like 21
400.
reps. And I'm like, this
Yeah. I
is
think it was like,
insane.
I think it did like, was it? It was more than 425. Maybe it was doing 450 on the trap bar. Man,
Yeah,
I'm 25. I can't even like
right.
I can't even.
56 years old, that many reps at that weight is just insane. So yeah, when people tell me you can't, train without carbs, it's nonsense.
Agreed. Oscar
Somebody
Guevara.
somebody commented. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
Oscar.
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
yes, sir.
Uh,
Right on, Oscar.
Yeah, I think it was he commented right on when you were talking about nutrition and trying to get healthy. So I mean, yeah. So for his 56, he ended up. I think I just saw a clip. We just saw a clip. 60,
Mhm.
60 reps. He ended
Oh
up,
yeah, he had 60 reps.
but he didn't do them all straight. It was like
He was
in a,
doing,
in a session, right? So
yeah, he was doing one per minute, and then
one per minute.
at the 56th minute, he just went for like the extra four and finished 60.
Man.
Wow.
Yeah, we're gonna have to build up to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that guy's awesome.
yeah. I really appreciate his work.
Oh, he is a huge. I mean, like I said, he was my first, intro into carnivore, and he's been a huge spokesperson. Again, there's several, but I would have to believe he's one of the top.
Yeah, we're losing Eric again.
Eric.
Yeah, let's go to the comment. Yeah, thank you, Oscar, for tuning in. Shout out, Oscar. You get the trumpets, Oscar. Great information as always. Great guest. Yeah. Fantastic guest.
Yeah, much love to Eric.
Yeah, we'll see if he jumps back on.
Looks like it's loading. Keeping us in suspense.
Hey, is that better?
Yeah, you're back.
Oh, all right. I went off my Wi-Fi. Hopefully that helps. Maybe that was the problem.
Oh, okay.
Oscar says, great information. As always, great guest.
Oh, thanks, Oscar. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Thanks, Oscar. But all right, so we're at the hour and 10 minutes mark.
Okay.
It's been great talking to you, Eric. I think we'll let you get back to it. We don't want to take much of your time. Really, really grateful for you making the time to talk to us.
Yeah.
Looking forward to what's coming next on your YouTube channel. If anyone's listening to this, go ahead and follow Eric on YouTube and on Instagram. Oh, he's also on Twitter. Well, I should have let you do the plug.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at No Carbs Nation for all three platforms. And guys, let me say again, hats off to you for spreading this word, for doing what you're doing, and for knowing what you're knowing at such a young age. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. I would like to do a podcast someday myself, and if I do, obviously I will return the favor. And I think what you guys are doing great. I appreciate you reaching out and having me on. And it's been a really cool experience.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, we saw you commented on a post about diabetes, how you reverse your diabetes. So that got us to reach out because we want to hear these stories, right? And I think stories are what's going to help drive the needle for the other people. So if you're thinking about the podcast, definitely go for it. I think you got great stories. You're a funny guy. You're cool.
You got good vibes.
Yeah, you got good vibes, man.
Thank you.
And hopefully one day we'll get to hang out and share a steak.
That'd be awesome.
But everyone should go join the No Carbs Nation. No Carbs Nation people.
Yeah.
Yes. If you're ever in Canton, Ohio, guys, let me know. We'll do that steak for sure.
Yeah. Same. If you ever hit up New England for any reason,
okay.
We're here. We're here at the moment.
We're here.
Yeah,
awesome.
depending how the state of the country follows, maybe we'll start our own state, no carb state.
There you go. I'll be there with you.
Yeah, yeah. The way things are going. Oscar says age is just a number. Time is the real value if you take advantage of it. I believe Eric is able to lift more now than 10 years ago.
Oh,
thank you, Oscar. That's really awesome to hear.
I don't know if that's true. Is that true, Eric?
Then 10 years ago. Oh no, I'm definitely in better shape than I was 10 years ago. But if we're looking at strictly lift numbers, I was pretty strong at 40. So
yeah,
but I'm definitely in better shape, and I can train a lot better, a lot more intensely, and a lot longer than I did 10 years ago. So definitely in a better place in terms of strength training.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, yeah. At 44, the most you could do 10 minutes. I mean, you've surpassed.
Yeah, it really went
now.
downhill there in the in the mid 40s. It really went south. So early 40s, even though my health was shit, I was still pretty strong. But health wise now, I am way healthier at 50 than I was at 40 or than I was at 30. So
wow,
awesome.
I'm pretty stoked. So I'm excited. I'm thankful. So.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Yeah. All right, Eric.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Stay strong.
Yeah. Stay strong.
You
No
too.
Carbs Nation. Let's go.
All right.
I love it.
Have a great night, guys. Thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a good night, Eric.
Have a good
God
night.
bless.
You too. We'll see you. God bless.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for tuning in. if you're watching, make sure to like, subscribe, go follow No Carbs Nation. We are your hosts. My name is Anderson.
And I'm Jay.
Yeah. And we appreciate all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have any questions, shoot us a DM. Actually, join our Discord. It's easier for us to like be in touch with you over there. Join our Discord if you haven't. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. We're on TikTok. Follow at Butterfuel Fitness for anything related to fat loss and muscle building. You know, Butterfuel page is more like debunking everything and providing information because you got to become a nutrition expert. And again, our mission is to cut through all the BS that's found on social media, and because we believe nutrition should be made simple, right? Eat meat, stay strong. Have a good night.
Have a good night. And follow No Carbs Nation.
Yeah.